Hey everyone, before we dive into today's unbelievable HOA saga, take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story where logic finally stands up to power-hungry boards. Welcome back to HOA Black Tale, where festive cheer collides with neighborhood authority issues. Today's tale proves that even something as innocent as a Christmas tree can spark major conflict. Our story starts quietly, just like most holiday tales, with warmth, peace, and zero intention of trouble. The family at the center had lived in their HOA-controlled suburban neighborhood for years. They weren't rebels, rule-breakers, or attention-seekers. They paid dues promptly, kept their lawn immaculate, and followed the endless list of HOA rules covering everything from fence color to mailbox style. To them, the HOA was simply a minor annoyance, a background hum in exchange for living in a calm community. When December arrived, the family decided to revive a tradition they had skipped the previous year. They brought home a full-sized Christmas tree, tall, lush, and radiating that natural warmth only a real tree can provide. Placed inside near a large front window, its soft lights and ornaments could be seen from the street. It was elegant, subtle, and festive. No blinking lights, no giant inflatables, just a tree quietly spreading holiday spirit. For a few days, everything seemed perfect. Neighbors passed by, some slowing to admire the decorations, others smiling as they strolled. The tree fulfilled its role, bringing warmth, family vibes, and the cozy feeling of year's end. The family felt proud and relaxed, ready to enjoy the season. That peace lasted exactly 4 days. The first HOA notice appeared, slipped under the door during the afternoon. Official letterhead, cold formal language, the kind HOA boards love. The letter claimed the visible Christmas tree violated community rules about uniform exterior appearance. The family read it twice, convinced it must be a mistake. The tree was inside, not on the lawn, porch, or roof. It wasn't obstructing anything, simply visible through a window. At first, they assumed the HOA meant outdoor decorations, or perhaps the notice was for another home. But the letter included their address, lot number, and a 48-hour deadline to remove or obscure the tree or face fines. Confusion soon turned to frustration. The HOA's rulebook was thick, overly detailed, and filled with vague phrases that seemed designed to be stretched. The family combed through it carefully, searching for any mention of indoor displays. There were rules for outdoor lights, yard ornaments, wreaths, but nothing about indoor trees. Still, the notice felt deliberate. The family chose not to act immediately. They left the tree in place and watched. Less than a day later, a second, harsher notice arrived. It referenced the first, warning that non-compliance could trigger daily fines. Now it wasn't a suggestion, it was a threat. That's when they realized this wasn't about rules. It was about control. The HOA board had recently changed. New members had brought a surge of strict enforcement. Neighbors whispered about fines for trivial issues and selective targeting. The Christmas tree was just the latest excuse, but the family didn't panic, they acted smart. They documented everything, screenshots, dates, times, the wording of letters. They analyzed every line of the bylaws. Every phrase now mattered, every ambiguity a potential shield. What they discovered was subtle but powerful. The HOA had authority over exterior elements, but its power inside the home was legally shaky at best. A third notice arrived, scheduling a compliance inspection. The letter mentioned the inspector would visually confirm corrective action. That caught the family's attention. Visually confirm from where? Outside the house. The tree was still entirely inside, their property, and that sparked a clever idea. Instead of removing it, they adjusted it, moving it slightly deeper into the room. Visible, yes, but clearly interior now, framed by walls and furniture. It was intentional. On inspection day, the HOA representative stood outside, clipboard in hand, peering through the window. The tree was visible but undeniably inside. No confrontation occurred, yet tension lingered. 2 days later, another letter arrived. The board would review the matter at an upcoming meeting. No fines yet, just a warning. The family prepared. They printed the bylaws, highlighted relevant sections, researched state property laws, and gathered examples from other disputes. What began as a simple decoration had evolved into a legal chess match. The family's goal was simple. They weren't provoking anyone, just refusing to be bullied. As Christmas neared, the tree stayed in place, glowing quietly. Neighbors noticed the tension. Some had received notices, others hadn't, hinting at selective enforcement. The tree became more than decor, it was a symbol. The HOA intended to enforce uniformity, but they were about to expose themselves publicly. By the time the board scheduled the review, the Christmas tree had taken on a life beyond ornaments. It was no longer just decoration. It represented the limits of unchecked authority and how carefully rules could be challenged by someone willing to study them. The board meeting was announced as routine under seasonal compliance concerns. Vague wording, but the threat was clear. They wanted to make an example. The family prepared meticulously, organizing documents, highlighting bylaws, printing relevant statutes. This was no longer about a tree, it was about boundaries. Rumors spread as the meeting approached. Residents whispered about fines, retroactive rule changes, and enforced window coverings. Confusion and fear raced faster than truth. The family stayed calm, strategic silence. During the meeting, board members assumed confidence. Years of unchecked power had taught them residents usually folded, but this family was different. The board outlined the violation: visible Christmas tree disrupting neighborhood uniformity. They referenced aesthetic clauses, stretching authority to sound imposing. The family responded calmly, presenting facts. The tree was fully inside the home. HOA authority covered exterior features, but interior decorations visible through windows were questionable. They cited bylaws limiting enforcement to outdoor elements. Some board members shifted uncomfortably. This was precise, structured argumentation. Then the family introduced line of sight vs. regulated space. Visibility alone doesn't equal authority. They compared it to furniture, wall colors, and interior decor. The argument hit hard. If visibility allowed control, the HOA would govern every home's interior. The board tried to reclaim control, claiming the tree influenced exterior aesthetics. The family countered with a simple, non-confrontational question: if visibility grants authority, where does it end? Curtains, paint, furniture, TVs? No clear answer existed. The meeting ended without a decision, a rare crack in the HOA armor. 2 days later, the board sent a rushed, legally questionable notice redefining visible interior displays as enforceable. The family exposed it to neighbors, explaining implications calmly. Suddenly, more residents noticed potential overreach. Conversations and support grew. The Christmas tree had sparked broader awareness. The family discovered a loophole: items entirely inside private property and not attached to exterior surfaces were exempt from regulation. They used it strategically, elevating the tree on an interior platform, adding signage claiming it was a private seasonal display. When the HOA returned, the tree was visible, festive, untouchable. The board faced a dilemma: enforce and risk legal trouble, or back down publicly. Neither option was appealing. Their illusion of control was crumbling. The family had followed rules meticulously, revealing loopholes and exposing HOA overreach. By the time the HOA realized their weakening authority, it was too late. A private enforcement issue had become a community-wide discussion about power, privacy, and limits. The Christmas tree stood quietly, but more eyes were on it than the board intended. The final escalation was a public hearing. The board presented it as routine, but residents saw it as a last authority grab. Attendance was high. Homeowners who never attended meetings arrived. Many had faced similar pressure from the board. The tree issue symbolized something larger. The family stayed calm, facts prepared, no hostility. The board reiterated commitment to community standards: harmony, property value, consistency, generic HOA language. The family presented their case: interior tree, bylaw exemptions, legal risks. Residents began sharing stories of overreach. Patterns emerged. Board members grew uncomfortable. The turning point, a legal opinion confirming HOA authority over visible interior decor was unenforceable. Continued enforcement risked liability. Confidence vanished. The board quickly withdrew violation notices and rescinded the rushed clarification. Publicly, it was framed as a reassessment, but the outcome was clear. HOA authority had been checked. Days later, the neighborhood received a formal update. Interior seasonal decorations were exempt from enforcement. Limits on board power were clarified. A single Christmas tree had forced transparency and boundaries. Neighbors expressed gratitude. Fear faded. Knowledge replaced uncertainty. HOA power shrank. The tree stayed through the season. Not louder, not brighter. It didn't need to be. It had become a symbol. Rules matter only when legitimate. Authority only exists with consent. The board became cautious. Enforcement slowed. Meetings shortened. When the holidays ended, the tree came down, voluntarily by choice, not compulsion. The lesson remained: HOA authority thrives on silence and assumption, but careful, informed action can dismantle it. This wasn't defiance, it was mastery of the rules. And in the end, the HOA learned a hard truth. Some things, like that Christmas tree, were untouchable.